Welcome to Porch Play Chat, sponsored by the American Association for Promoting the Child's Right to Play, or more affectionately named IPA-USA. IPA-USA is the USA affiliate of the International Play Association. You can find more about IPA World at ipaworld.org and more about IPA-USA at ipa-usa.org. We have a conference coming up in San Antonio, October 6th through 9th. So hopefully you have seen it and you're planning on coming before this Porch Play Chat airs. I'm Deb Lawrence, and I'm president of IPA USA. And in order to promote play, we've introduced these Porch Play Chats, which are conversations with people who are just as passionate about play as we are. Joining me on the porch today is Wendy Ruiz. Wendy received her master's at University of La Verne in child development and child life. She holds training certificates in the program for infant and toddler caregivers and RIE, and she's an early childhood education faculty at the College of the Canyons and the director of early childhood programs for Maker Learning Network. Her passions include play-based curriculum, sensory open-ended experiences, and outdoor play. And today, Wendy is going to talk to us about what true play looks like. I think this is hard for people.
That is a good question. Yeah, I mean, I recently did a cohort with some Anji play. I don't know what they're called. Anji play
Facilitators? Are they
facilitators? Maybe they're facilitators. So I recently did it was like a 5-week cohort. It was beautiful. It was virtual, so we didn't get to go, and it wasn't like the full Anji play training, but what they did was they had us each week record videos of children playing, and then we came back and reflected on them and commented on how to find true play and what true play really is, right? And so I learned so much from it, and I just want to do, I wanted to do so much more from it, and so that's where this topic kind of came up. But I learned so much, the focus was so much on how true play is, obviously it isn't created, it's naturally happens, right? It just comes, it's organic. It's not pre-planned. It can't be come from a box. It just happens. And so what I found was I just kept I would just walk around and just video, just random, just in the moment. Doesn't matter what, sorry, hold on. It's okay. I'm gonna move over here. That's okay. She's eating a loud lunch.
She's moving away from crunching, I guess.
And because at first I was nervous, like, how do I record play, right? But then the more I video, the more I realized it just happened. And when you record just moments of time with children, with learners, their play is whatever they make of it. And true play is allowing it to just happen and not interrupt. That was the biggest challenge, I think, of not asking questions, not jumping in, not hijacking their play, but just letting it be. And that's really what true play is. It could be 3 minutes, it could be 33 minutes, It's as long as the child is engaged and focused on whatever they're doing. But so often we hijack it, right? So often we interrupt, even with just something as simple as, I see, commenting.
I know.
Like
the stupid open-ended questions, Wendy. It's a stupid open-ended questions.
We don't have to. A lot of times, tell me what color that is, or how many you have, and unfortunately that just takes away. It ruins so much of it just ruins the moment.
It does, and I love the term. That's what I was writing down. Hijacking their play. That is exactly what we do. We interrupt it. We stop their thoughts.
Right.
It's like when we invite ourselves into dramatic play, the same thing happens. What could I be? Stop it. Just observe them and stop asking those stupid open-ended questions.
We just
Oh my
derail it,
goodness.
right? We derail them.
We do. We derail what is the beauty of what they're doing. Oh, I think that is the perfect term. We hijack it. I love it.
We do.
Okay.
No, so it was just, I learned so much just from, I learned how easy it is to find play. You know, we think we have to create it, but we don't, right? We don't have to create meaningful play. They create it on their own. We provide the setting, you know, the facilitators provide the environment and the materials, but then they go from there. And one of the videos that I loved was just one of the little learners, he's, I think, 14, maybe 16 months, was just climbing. So I was observing one group of play that I thought was, you know, and then I turned my camera and there's this little boy climbing in and out of a sensory table. And the bins were taken out. So he was able to go in the actual table and out. And he did this for so long. And it just had, and then another child joined. And so I ended up using that video for my demonstration for the class, and that all the other facilitators just loved it. And I was thinking, oh gosh, they're going to think this is really weird. This isn't actually play. This wasn't planned, but they got so much out of it. It turned into this huge discussion about, you know, where was his mind going and how did he, and he just did all, and you could listening to like the words coming out of his mouth. It was just everything. It was just so meaningful. And what I loved is the facilitator in the classroom, she didn't stop it. Obviously, he wasn't using the sensory table and how it should be used. She just let it happen, you know, because that's how true play happens, right? Is just let it be and don't be afraid of what, I mean, obviously we have to keep them safe. He was safe. It was a very low table. He could easily climb in and climb out. So that wasn't an issue at all. But it was just, seemed so, I don't know, it just kind of opened my eyes to a whole new reality. And I have a play-based background, and
that's exactly what I was going to bring up. You are a play person, and to have that eye-opening experience with all of your deeply embedded beliefs it must have been very, very powerful.
It was yeah, and it really made me sit back, and when I went to other classrooms to observe, and then every time I heard like a teacher, and then they're doing it meaning, you know, they're not trying to do anything.
Nobody is doing it intentionally. Sometimes they're doing it because they have to, right?
Right.
Sometimes they're doing it because the Eckers thing says you need to ask a question about math, or you need to ask a question. And I'm like, OMG, really?
And I think it's so ingrained in teachers and facilitators to ask those questions, to ask open-ended, right? Tell me how many crayons you have. What colors are you using? What are you? And it never really, I mean, it kind of bothered me before, but not until now, when I was like, wow, these learners are just they're playing. Why do we have to ask questions? That is not the time, right? The time is when the child turns to you and comes to you. That's when you engage, or if they invite you into the play, of course.
Yeah.
You know, but otherwise,
and I think what we have to do as facilitators, and I love how your organization uses facilitators instead of teachers or educators. I think what we have to do is recognize that it's not our role. It's our role to be supportive. It's not our role to be intrusive. And there's such a difference between how you interpret each of those roles. Are you a supporter or are you an intruder? And if we could just get teachers to recognize what a supporter looks like and what an intruder looks like, I think it would help them change their perception. In fact, I'm writing that down too. I always get ideas for articles when we do these Porch play stuff.
Yeah, I think what happens too is when we're truly observing, people often think we're not doing anything.
Right.
You know? So I do get, like, when my students from my classes observe, they're like, oh, well, the facilitators weren't doing anything, you know? Well, yeah, they were absolutely doing something. You learn so much by observing, right? By truly observing and just letting the experiences happen. And from their perspective, oh, well, they were just sitting there. And so it's hard. So I think sometimes people feel pressured that they have to do something. They can't just sit there, right? But if you're sitting there and if you're truly engaged and you're taking it all in, I mean, look how much you're learning, first of all.
Oh my goodness. Well, and I think this is where we tie in with what Debbie Mays did, one of our in the speaker series. Debbie Mays did a whole hour presentation on learning stories.
Oh, I love learning stories.
And so if we
yeah.
could get people to recognize that those observations can be turned into learning stories that are organic and authentic, that then if you have to, for whatever higher being or funding source you have, you're able then to align it with the standards or whatever it is that you're required to do. I think that is such a beautiful way for people, and that would be a great way for students to have to turn those observations into learning stories to help them recognize, oh, I see now, right?
Actually,
I see that that observation had value and the children were really discovering and exploring things, not just playing. Right.
Right. But giving him that opportunity to just, like, for example, the water play, when he's climbing in and out of the water play, the learning that was going on, like, I could easily attach so many DRDP, right? Like, so many things, so much more meaningful than having a planned experience that then I have to meet these standards. So I'm going to do this activity today.
Yeah, you need to do it backwards, right?
Right. But
it needs to be, it needs to be the experience first, and then you tie it after the observation. Right. Because I think that's so much more honored of the child because of what the child is doing and what they're interested in. And again, you're following the child's lead, not following your lead.
You're not teaching to the test.
Yes.
And you're truly learning what each learner is capable of, not what you planned for them, but what they're capable of on their own. Because another learner came over and she was also climbing in and out, but not to the same abilities, not to the same, and so you could see that there was definitely a developmental difference, but they were still engaging. They were still, having communication, nonverbal, but having great communication. And definitely learning from each other. They were modeling, they were mimicking each other. I mean, it was amazing. And I would never have put on my lesson plan, climb in water table, right? So
right. And parents would have been, what are you thinking? Right. But when you describe it and then you align it, then parents go, oh, that's what, no wonder he wants to do blah, 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 blah at home, or she wants to do blah, 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 blah at home. And then you help the parents figure out a way that's comfortable for them to support that play instead of stop the play because they don't think it's safe. Right?
It's honoring their play. It's honoring the play is their work, right? We know it's their work. We know that.
We know that.
So why do we have
other lessons? This is fascinating. What other lessons were your aha moments?
It was really aha. I mean, I think the best part was being with like-minded people, watching these videos and watching everyone else's videos. And whether it was a 30-second video or a 6-minute video, everyone just had so much insight. And I felt like so often I'm questioned for my beliefs in play, right? And so I was afraid to speak up. I was afraid to, in the beginning, right? I was afraid to voice my observations because I was like, no, they're going to think I'm crazy. But then realizing, there are other people out there that believe in what we believe in, right? We just have to find them, and we have to we have to make it more normal so that we're not feeling like we're the odd duck or whatever it is,
But I think that goes back to that whole, if we do what Brazil's doing and say we need to be guardians of play instead of intruders of play or hijackers of play, boy, I think either of those sort of those changes in the way we're thinking can help us be more respectful of children's play than intruders of it. So who else was in this audience of Angie Play folks?
There were 7 of us. So there were 3 facilitators and then I think 6 or 7 attendees, participants from all over, like India, was there someone from China, someone from San Francisco, they were all over, and it was just one Saturday, every Saturday for 5 weeks and for 3 hours. And it was just the best 3 hours. It just flew by. And we watched the video several times, each person's video. We watched so we watched it, and then what they had us do is then come up with a goal, not a goal, but something we were kind of searching for, maybe language development, or how they're something like we picked like a focus point, and then watched the video again based off that focus point, and then watched it a third time. And it just reminded me how important it is to how important it is to watch things multiple times, right? And to video, how important it is to video, and to show my facilitators the videos too, and let them see them multiple times, because you miss things. The first time it's like, oh, that's so sweet, or oh, that's, but by the second or third time, you learn even more about this child. And yeah, do we have time all the time to record everyone and to watch multiple times? No. But if we can even grasp a few moments, some of my videos were short as a minute to 6 minutes, some of them were longer. They did talk about how you don't want them too long, and then you kind of lose, some of the focus kind of loses at some point. Their goal was to do like 3 to 6 minute videos is kind of what, also too short, I think you lose some of it. So I want to be careful not to walk away too soon, just because it looks like their idea is shifting, that's not the end of it, but that there's still more going on. So I think that's part of it too, is don't give up on them yet. Don't walk away from their play too soon. I think I learned a lot from that too, because I thought, oh, they're like shifting ideas. So maybe, but then when I kept watching, I was like, oh, but they shifted ideas, but look where it went,
Right, because they're deepening that experience based on what they've just done. Yeah. And so if we just give children time, right? If we just honor the work that they're doing and not intrude on it, I'm trying to sum us up, not intrude on it, and just, if you video record it, if you just watch what they did and then you tie it, I mean, just think how lovely it would be. I'm going to do a 2-minute video on one child a day.
Right.
And then I'm going to send home a learning story once a month on every child. What
amazing.
Parents would be like, oh my God, I knew they were learning a lot, but I had no idea. And you can say that was 2 minutes.
Right.
2 minutes in one day.
But they need that time though. So many programs give them like, okay, now we're going to do art. Now we're going to do science. Now and we're going to rotate. They need that uninterrupted bulk of time.
Yeah.
To capture those moments, or else they don't have time to feel safe enough to play, because they're worried.
And I want to go back to what you said, and then I've got to go because the next person's coming on. Yeah. But the other thing that I thought that you said was so important is, how you watch a movie, and then because you really liked it, you watch it again. Yeah. And you go, I never saw that the first time I watched it, right? It's the same thing with those observations. I mean, there are times Chris and I have our favorite movies and we'll watch them 3 or 4 times. I'll say, did you see that the first time, the second time, or the third time we watched it? And then he'll go, no. And I'm like, this is amazing. And so if we just honor what's happening and recognize that we have to watch things multiple times in order to get the full picture of what's going on, we need to do that with children too.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. All right, Wendy, don't go anywhere. I'm going to close this out and then we'll talk in just a second, and then I'll introduce Sally.
Sounds good.
So to learn more about IPA-USA, please visit our website at IPAUSA.org. And until next time, keep on playing.